right, I got something really cool for you guys today. I met up with fellow tech YouTubers Alexis Kind, I think I pronounced his name correctly, and Andrew Mark David. These guys happened to be in town for Intel's Tech Tour. Anyway, I ended up giving them a tour of our office. We were just chilling out and doing what we normally do, discussing all things laptops, the best ones we've tested, the worst ones we've tested, and just the way the industry is heading, including AI. Anyway, we all looked at each other and were like, we have to roll the cameras and we have to film this for you guys to watch. So with that said, here's our discussion on the laptop industry. Any laptops that we do mention in this video will be linked down below. That's in case you want to buy them because, folks, some of their naming is incredibly confusing.
I run a channel for developers where I review laptops, just like Josh, but also I get into machines that do AI, like mini PCs and custom build boxes. AI is pretty big right now, and I think that's what we're going to chat about, right?
Partly, I think, yeah. And I mean, realistically, you've got a programming background like myself, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're looking at things clearly from a software
developer perspective,
yeah,
for sure.
And what about you, Andrew?
Well, I actually, obviously, as you know, I have a YouTube channel. I review laptops. I do business laptops, consumer laptops, gaming laptops, mini laptops, tablets, and a few other things here and there.
Let's start off with the obvious question, right? What laptop did you bring with you, Alex? And also, is that the main one you use? Is that just the one that you're traveling with?
Right. So I actually thought about bringing 2 laptops with me, but I thought it was going to be a little too heavy because my main laptops and my daily driver is an M4 Max MacBook Pro, and it's already like
16 or 14?
It's a 16.
Okay.
So it's like 5 pounds already,
Yeah.
which is not that heavy, but it's still a lot to carry around, especially if you want to carry a second monitor around. But that's the one I chose. That's my primary workhorse.
Andrew, what are you?
Well, I actually bought 3 laptops, not because I wanted to, but because I have to. So we'll start off with what the first one is. It's a MacBook Pro. It's a 14-inch.
Yeah.
It's running the M4 Pro, not the Max. I went with the Pro on the 14-inch. I also have a 16-inch back at home, but it's a little heavy. I didn't want to bring it. And that's, I do a lot of video editing in DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro. So I use that. It's also cross-platform. DaVinci Resolve is. But the other 2 reasons I brought it is because I'm testing out 2 laptops with built-in 5G. So I have the Surface laptop for business with 5G, and I'm testing that out. It's actually working out really well. And I have something new from HP, the HP EliteBook 6 G1Q, the Q standing for Qualcomm. It's running a Snapdragon X Plus, the 42100. It has something called HP Go, and that is a service that they're going to be debuting. I'll talk more about it in a video that it's upcoming. But yeah, 5G is the way to go, built into the laptops.
Never tried that. That's interesting.
And for me, I think I told you guys that before, but I think it's going to cause my audience a bit of a surprise. I'm using the MacBook Pro 14 M4 Pro a lot. Not that one. That one I think people kind of expect. That one, it's very portable. At least it's portable enough for me. I like the screen. It's pretty big. The keyboard's pretty comfortable. Everything just works. You guys are all using Macs too. The deal. But the one that's going to surprise people is I seem to still be addicted to the Razer Blade 16, even though it's got all the problems that it has. And boy, does it have a lot of problems. And I scream obscenities. Like the trackpad is honestly, even though mine has the fixed trackpad, its palm rejection is so bad that I turn it off anyway. That laptop, they just should have removed the trackpad entirely and just made room for more battery or something like that. Like it is the trackpad is like an aesthetic thing only on that laptop. It's that bad. But I don't recommend anyone run out and buy the Razer Blade 16 unless you're either very wealthy or you're in a situation like we are here where we have so many laptops that we can just swap to another if it doesn't work. But honestly, calling a spade, like the Razer Blade 16, it's super thin. I really like that. I really like its new keyboard. I do play a fair bit of games. I seem to be climbing in League again. I don't know why, but so I need to have a Windows laptop to do some gaming. The video editing's been pretty smooth on the Blade. I've just been, even though it does have a bit of fan noise, I have been really, really enjoying using the Razer Blade. There, I said it. I think and I do think if you're okay with the risk of buying a Blade, I'm enjoying it.
Can you elaborate on that? What's the risk?
Oh my goodness gracious me.
Or is that for a different video?
Well, before you do that, I would like to say one thing. You have the girlfriend, the kind of like, she's not right for you, but yet you can't resist it. You keep going back, right? So it's like that ex-girlfriend you just can't resist. But anyway.
Right. That is such a great analogy. So the Razer Blades I've obviously tested a lot of laptops, and out of all the laptops that I've tested, they tend to have the most amount of like just issues. Like sometimes, perfect example, close the lid, put in my backpack, get home, it is like a furnace. It doesn't turn off. It's cooking
I've seen
itself.
that.
And the batteries, I've seen that they expand and blow up, like the case expands. Dreadful. That happens to me all the time. Sometimes I plug in an external monitor. It just doesn't come up until I restart the laptop. Sometimes I'm plugged in its power brick. It doesn't register performance mode until I restart it, and then it registers that I can go to it stays in the balance mode until I can go to performance mode.
Wow.
The trackpad doesn't work pretty much at all, as I just said. And then the worst thing about Razer is, good heavens, if you have to contact support. I think last time I contacted them, I mean, I've got a video out on this. I had to speak to 12 different reps. It took like a month to get the laptop replaced. I was probably without a laptop for 2 weeks. It is a nightmare compared to Apple, that you take it in, they work out what's wrong. Then what they do is they order the parts and let you hang on to the laptop so at least you can still use it if it's usable. Then you bring it in, they've swapped the parts out in a day. I mean, on site at one of their Apple stores, it's you got to have a spare computer if you're buying a blade.
And
That's
you're
my
also
2 cents.
not paying that much more for an Apple laptop than you are for the Razer blade.
No, not at all. I think
You
Apple's
think
offer
that
better
Apple
value.
is so expensive, but look at their MacBook Airs. They're actually really good machines, under $1,000.
They are good value.
I don't know how you can beat that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. All right, if you're looking to get a laptop for AI,
Okay.
we were kind of discussing this in the other room. What would you, and obviously we've talked, actually, there's really 2 types of AI, right? There's model inference, model training, right? You said something I thought in the other room that was very good for the viewers to understand. Talk about what you would look for either of those 2, and if there's similarities in what you look for, because I think that was really interesting.
So there aren't that many options for laptops when it comes to running large language models. You can run small language models, which are useful in their own way. But for running the larger models, you'd want to have a laptop that has, the 128 gigabyte versions. MacBook Pro has a 128 gigabyte model. Then the other one is the Asus Flow Z13.
Yeah, we have one, the tablet.
With the AMD Strix, Halo Strix 95 Max Plus.
395.
Yeah, thank you. I keep forgetting that number.
We all forget those names. So
Yeah, it's a crazy name. But that one has it comes with a 128 gigabyte option, and you can run some decent models with that as well. Do you remember any other machines that have such a high amount of RAM?
I mean, you've got HP has this random business laptop that has that.
that is correct.
Yeah, and I think, but it's like, look, it's super expensive, and I think one of the risks that we were talking about is both those 2 devices don't have CUDA. They're not NVIDIA.
Right. So there are laptops with NVIDIA. They come with 5090, for example. An Asus gaming laptop will come because it's meant for gaming. But you could do training on that, and you could do inference on that. By the way, the difference between training and inference is training is, you train a model. Inference is when you're running the text generation or the image generation, for those of you that don't know.
You're really using them.
So you're using the model, exactly. Training, you'd need a lot more memory for than inference, generally speaking. For inference, let's talk about that for a moment, because most people are going to be doing inference. Unless you're doing machine learning as your studies in school, or maybe you're getting a model ready to be deployed somewhere, then you might be doing a little bit of training or development for the training, where you're setting up the training pipeline to be deployed somewhere else to do the actual training.
I think you're really prototyping at that stage.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. That's a
On
good
your
way to
laptop
put it.
itself.
You're prototyping the training pipeline. But you'd need a lot more RAM for the prototyping stage if you're doing training versus inference. Most people are going to be doing things like running small language models or vision language models, VLMs, where you're running an image through the VLM and you're trying to identify what parts of the image they are.
I think a good example, though, if you don't mind, Alex, jumping in, I think sometimes people want to run these locally is also for privacy. They're not sending their data out to the cloud,
Yes.
right? They can ask whatever they want, and
That's one of the benefits of doing things locally. Not too many options out there with a high amount of RAM to be able to do these kinds of things. But if you're okay with running smaller models, then you can certainly do that on other types of laptops that have less RAM available. And what I said in the other room is, think about it this way: when you're doing inference and you're getting a certain speed doing inference, like maybe 20 tokens per second for a certain model, then you can kind of extrapolate that, and that's basically how fast training is going to go on a similar type of machine or a similar type of graphics processor.
And I think the two measurements, if I'm correct, that we're really looking at, well, actually maybe there's 3. Tokens per second, which is really how fast it's going.
Mm-hmm.
There is the amount of VRAM you have, which is can the model that you're running even fit? And generally speaking, I think you've kind of hit on this, that the larger the model is, the more accurate, generally speaking, it is.
Yeah.
And then I think the third one is really a binary, is it CUDA or not? Given that most people want to run CUDA for both performance reasons and also because if you're coding actual models, that's the interface that generally people are coding on.
Right. So CUDA is kind of a language that's NVIDIA specific only. CUDA will not run on AMD, on Intel, or anything like that. So that's only NVIDIA.
So I think then with laptop buying, my 2 cents, and let me know what you think, you're kind of in a bit of a rough spot right now. Because either you go NVIDIA, which has CUDA, but you're having less VRAM, or you go one of these other options, which have more VRAM, like the MacBook or the Strix Halo processor, but then you're not on CUDA. My 2 cents, I think I'd buy an NVIDIA GPU laptop with as much VRAM as you can, and that you can afford, and you just have to make the model fit.
Well, you work with smaller models, is what you're forced to do. However, it's not like AMD and Mac don't have their own versions of CUDA. They're just not as popular. For example, if you're using a Mac system, Mac OS, you have MLX available to you on Apple Silicon, and it's being developed actively. It's not quite where CUDA is, and it's not as performant as CUDA, but it's available there, and it is optimized for Apple Silicon. AMD also has something called ROCm, which is being actively developed as well. And there's also another API called Vulkan, which will run on Intel, it'll run on AMD, and it'll run on your NVIDIA. So it's like a cross-platform technology that'll do pretty well across all three of those.
How does Vulkan performance compare to CUDA? Have you tried testing them side by side?
Yeah. So CUDA is obviously a lot more mature, a lot more developed than Vulkan, and it's faster for sure because it's optimized for NVIDIA. But if you're not running NVIDIA, if you're running an AMD chip, for example, the Strix Halo, then you can run Vulkan, and that's actually a little bit faster right now than ROCm, which is the other option for AMD right now.
Very interesting. Andrew, you cover a lot of business laptops.
Yes, I
right?
do.
Tell me, what do you think is, like, if you're a business shopper right now, let's say you would need a really high-end, performance-focused laptop, what do you think is a
well,
good to get?
Putting aside price, right? Because these can get pretty expensive. I'm testing 2 right now that I think are pretty outstanding. Putting price aside, because we're talking major money here. The first one is the HP ZBook Fury 18 G1i. I standing for Intel. It's running Intel Core Ultra 9 285HX. And as far as the processor, the NVIDIA RTX Pro 5000 Black Bolt graphics, 24 gigabytes of RAM. It's fully loaded. It's really good. Now, that, of course, is made for people or companies that need to really do some high-end 3D rendering. You know, talking about architects, you're talking about medical imaging, you're talking about high-end video editing, like in a movie studio. They're going to use these kind of products.
Or AI.
Or AI. So that's the other thing. These can be outfitted with 128 gigabytes of memory.
Let's just be clear, though. You mean system memory, not
system
RAM,
memory.
Not
the RAM for the GPU, like I said, is 24 gigabytes.
So it's equivalent to like a 5090.
Basically a 5090. In some cases, might even surpass it. Just depends on its utilization. Now, the other one is one of its chief competitors is the Dell Pro Max 18 Plus. How I remember that, I don't know. But I'm getting used to it, sort of.
But what is worse, HP's naming with this G1A or whatever the hell that acronym's like? Is the letters worse, or is Dell's worse? That it's like a Pro, a Plus, a Premium, a Max. It's just like a word salad. I don't know. You guys let us know in the comment below. Like, clearly, product naming at tech at laptop world and manufacturers like CPUs and GPUs is a disaster to begin with.
Yeah.
It's just a disaster. But which is worse here?
Or putting a plus at the end of Macs.
Or the one that I hate is having AI named for everything.
Yeah.
The laptop's named AI.
Please don't do that. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not, like, if anyone from a tech company, like a laptop manufacturer is watching this, you're not convincing anyone. You're just not. There's nothing AI about your laptop. Like, come on, like, real AI is done in the cloud. Let's call a spade a spade. Like, that's just where it's at.
Well, come on. What about local AI? We need to have that option for privacy.
We do. But we're not there yet, right? But anyway, back on the...
Yeah, so, well, speaking of AI, these would be great machines for AI, at least I think, but he's the expert. Don't quote me, but these machines, the Dell and the HP, are professional grade. So you're going to pay a professional grade price. So we're talking loaded $10,000 maybe. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous in some ways, but... I will say this, that companies tend to buy these in bulk. They do get discounts, but these are very, very expensive. And when I look at these kind of machines, the numbers are great. You look at the benchmarks, they all do great. You could probably go out and buy a regular laptop for a fraction of the price, and just, for most people, they'll be perfectly fine.
One thing I wanted to say on that, I actually am I've done some research into business laptops for an upcoming video. We're doing this series for Cybersecurity Month, and it's kind of like a crossover of my business channel about career and how to be successful in your career and tech and laptops. And what we're doing is, and when I say we, it's my channel, not with the guys here, we're interviewing a lot of very senior professionals in cybersecurity and fraud about, their career success. What if you're going to go into a career with cybersecurity? What should you study? What applications learn? Anyway, this series is actually sponsored by Asus and their expert book range of business laptops. And I don't accept sponsors just willy-nilly. I want to make sure that what they're saying is legit. So I have thoroughly researched these business laptops. And even though that's the expert books, obviously you're talking about Dell and HP, what I found was really, really interesting. So like just small things that are different on a business laptop, like the number of hinge opens and closes. The business laptops are tested for more. Drops. Consumer laptops aren't really tested for dropping from a very high distance. Business laptops are. Business laptops, if you drop from a high distance, they need to make sure that the SSD at least survives, that they can be recoverable. Also, the ports when you plug in and out of, there's more ports, but they're also reinforced ports on many of the business laptops, where a lot of consumer laptops, some are the better ones, but a lot of them aren't. Stuff like it's upgradable, it's more serviceable. I was actually quite surprised by a lot more. You just can't compare a standard consumer laptop for, say, $2,000 to $4,000 to a business laptop for $2,000 to $4,000. You've got to up it a bit. And also other stuff like business laptops have like next business day on-site warranties. Business laptops have longer warranties, even up to, I believe, 5 years. So there's a lot more that when you're saying that amount, obviously it's a ludicrous amount.
There's a lot that goes into that, and you're not only buying just the laptop, a lot of times you're also buying the services behind that. So when these companies buy a fleet of these laptops, say from Dell, HP, Lenovo, with their ThinkPads, you're going to see a lot of other services that it's also poured into that. And like you said about the warranty, a lot of them have standard 3-year warranties. You can extend that out. You can work with with Dell, HP, Lenovo. They'll work with you. That being said, there are laptops that I think are just great laptops, no matter if it's business or for anything. I have one that I'm testing out. Naming aside, we'll put that aside, is the Dell Pro Max 14 Premium. I think I got that right. So that is a pretty amazing laptop. So what does it have? It has a 14-inch tandem OLED display, absolutely gorgeous. It's got a haptic touchpad. It's got a zero lattice keyboard. It's got Thunderbolt 5. Now, this might be the first 14-inch laptop with Thunderbolt 5. I don't know of any others that has that. Has 2 Thunderbolt 5s on the left, two Thunderbolt 4s on the right. That's pretty amazing for a 14-inch laptop. So like 3 pounds or 3 plus in terms of pounds. So it's pretty impressive. Naming aside, that is what I thought that the XPS successor should have been, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
So kudos to Dell for making a great laptop like this. Problem is, it's over $4,000 as configured.
And the other thing I would like to point out as well about this, because you and I were talking about this earlier,
Yeah.
I think, what's the wattage of the GPU on that?
So that has, okay, so that
75.
one is a 75-watt GPU. It's the RTX Pro 2000 Blackwell, which is definitely better than the 4050 we saw on the Dell 14 Premium. There's no doubt about it. On TimeSpy, I think I got about 5,500 on the 4050, which only had 40 watts of power, if I'm not mistaken. And then the RTX Pro 2000 at 75 watts did around 10,000 or so. So almost doubled it, or maybe like 8,590 to 9,000 in the TimeSpy.
Where I'm going with this is I think that you got to be careful of that kind of stuff because, you know, a lot of these laptop GPUs, they all name the same thing, right? They're all RTX 5060, RTX 5070, but a 5070, we've seen them very low, like, you know, and we've seen them very high at 115 watts, and there can be a huge performance difference. So you got to be very careful of that. And this one that Andrew's saying is around what we'd consider lower mid-range for a 5070 or a 5060. I think, you know, I'll just say maybe the ones that we're liking here, and then I want to ask a really cool question afterwards, actually. You know, over here, I think we've really liked, just off the top of my head, you know, we're in the consumer space. We're trying, our strategy here is to make sure we have a solid review out for every major consumer laptop that people might be buying. Funnily enough, I'm going to start with the business one. The ThinkPad X915, we've actually found is very good for consumers too, because it's got this beautiful 15-inch display. It's got the haptic trackpad, really good. The pricing is actually pretty decent for what it is. Very premium laptop. So that one's probably our favorite kind of like businessy one with a large screen. You know, obviously we like the MacBooks. I think other ones that have kind of impressed us this year, Lenovo's just had a huge year with the Legions. The Legion 5, 5i in particular, there's two of them, the AMD's the 5 and the I is for the Intel one. Blown it out of the park. We've got our review coming. I don't know if it's before or after this video, but
you're going to send some over to me so I can test them out for developers?
We should. So it's basically got a 15.1-inch display, which is really in the sweet spot. It's more immersive for gaming than 14-inch gaming laptops, better cooling than a 14-inch gaming laptop, but it's more portable and compact than a 16. And in its price range, which is between like $1,000 to $1,500, guys, it can't be beat. You've got a beautiful OLED display, Lenovo's amazingly comfortable keyboards. I feel like I'm selling it here. It does have some issues, but that one, it's just punches so far above its weight. Like a lot of laptops that we've seen in this price bracket, they have like last gen CPUs that are just not as power efficient. They cut back they don't have an OLED display. They cut back much more materially. So I think those two have really stood out. On the high end, I like the Omen Max 16. I really like it.
Great.
The team here, props to them. They like the Legion Pro 7 and 7i, I believe it is, which is the higher end Legion. I also think on the Legion line, the Legion 7i, which is their kind of thin and light 16-inch one, it's actually not that light or small, but it's lighter or smaller than the Legion Pro 7. Lenovo's just had a huge year for gaming laptops. They really have. They've had a dominating performance. And then I think the last one I'd say is the Gigabyte Aero X16.
That's a good one.
At around the $1,000, $1,200 price bracket. It has this combination of a Ryzen 7 CPU with a modern one, a Zen 5 one, with a mid-range GPU 5060, 5070. We found that combination works really, really well. And that price, I mean, it's a very, very compelling price. Laptop's not without its problems. I do have a review out on it, but it's a really good laptop. If you're looking for something do-it-all that's pretty, you know, portable, that's also another one that stood out a bit. But let's ask a fun question.
Okay.
Worst laptop you've tested in the last, let's say, 12 to 24 months?
The worst laptop I've tested was the HP OmniBook with the Snapdragon X Elite chip in it.
Oh, that was terrible.
So I don't know what went wrong, but it was just not a good laptop. First of all, I should say I maybe should have given it another chance because my copy was just really bad. Something went wrong with it, and I don't know. But that's my story for that one.
Yeah, that one, I remember that one. When the Snapdragons came out, that one had, all of them were like pretty premium devices, and we were all surprised at how good a device you were getting for the price. But that one was just, it was like a $700 laptop. it wasn't charged at that, it was charged more, but that was the quality of the laptop. And I remember the screen was terrible compared to
Screen
all
was
these
so
others.
dark, 300 nits.
Yeah.
I remember that stood out so clearly because it was the darkest screen I've seen in a long time.
That was bad. All right, Andrew, batter up.
Oh, I have a good one, but I got to look it up because I can't remember the name.
Was it a Dell?
No,
The Dell
it
name?
wasn't actually. It was the worst laptop I ever reviewed. If I can find it, if we can pause it.
We can run some funny music or something.
So the worst laptop I ever actually laid my eyes on or my hands on is the Ace Magic. And it's so
Andrew,
bad.
He had to actually, it was so bad he forgot what it was called, so he had to look it up on his phone to remember it was that bad.
You can see how bad that camera is. You can. I feel bad for Ace Magic, I'll be honest with you, because they're nice people. I'm sure they're out of China somewhere, and they try to be nice. But I'll be honest with you, they should never have sent me this laptop. It was so bad. First of all, it had the worst displays I've ever seen. There's two of them. The idea was good. It had like a watch band hinge. You can open it up. And the idea was good. The execution was terrible. They put the worst webcam I've ever seen. I don't even know why they even bothered. The keyboard wasn't backlit. It was just a piece of junk.
But
and
was it $200?
no, it was $1,100.
What?
That's the big problem I had with it.
Oh, wow.
Are you, can I curse? Are you effing kidding me? I mean, come on. And I said it. I'm pretty nice. Let's be honest. I'm pretty nice in my reviews. I try to be fair and balanced, but I try not to be mean or anything. I just couldn't help myself on that one. But if Ace Magic, and here's the funny part, maybe he's a little behind the scenes here. They keep sending me emails wanting to send me more stuff. So I guess they don't care. I guess they are glutton for punishment. But it was a mess. If it wasn't $1,100. I would have been okay with some of the missing features, but at $1,100, come on, don't send me that stuff, please. It's just better you keep it to yourself.
Yeah, that's a terrible one.
Ace Magic, you're watching. I know you are.
This is a hard question, even though I asked it. It's very hard for me to narrow this down. The one that comes to mind right now, and there's a lot of bad ones. I mean, I can't even narrow this down. I'm just going to have to say a couple. The Acer Nitro V16S, which is really Acer's first thin gaming laptop that's really designed for more the value range. It's not like most of these thin gaming laptops have been premium, like the Razer Blades. And man, we literally had to abandon the review. I was telling the guys at lunch, it is a basically mid-range gaming hardware. So you've got like a 5070, I believe, or 5060 in there. And that really should be running at about 85 watts, which I believe is what it's set to in that laptop. But that laptop comes with a 135 watt charging brick, which is, I think it is the smallest charging brick we've ever seen in a mid-range gaming laptop. And I remember HP's Omen Transcend 14, people went nuts because that was only fed, it was a lower watt GPU at 65 watts last year, now it's 75, so close to this one, but that has a bigger charger, and that has a 140 watt charger, but feeds its GPU 10 watts less power. So the math just doesn't add up, and you can just see this thing draining, and it drains pretty, like if you're doing, my gaming sessions tend to be 2 to 3 hours, you're going to be left with like 10 to 15% battery left in that thing at the end of it. And you can take it down from its best performance mode to its next one, but then again, you're losing the performance of the components that you've just paid for, and they're mid-range components to begin with, and they're only at 85 watts, the GPU, not 115. So it's already very mid-range. So if you run it at the more performance profile, which is one under the turbo, it still drains the battery. Not as bad, but it still drains. So we just literally had to abandon the review. Like, we cannot recommend this laptop. And I think that one was really bad. I think the Gigabyte A16, the gaming one that we just reviewed, also just so many bugs. Oh my God. These guys, these companies are producing too many laptops, and the quality control just isn't there because they're just spreading this peanut butter too thin. And that one, we had the 4050 and 4060. 4050 performed, the 4050, the GPU performed as it should. It was a high wattage 4050. We bought it for about $700. Decent laptop. Not great, certainly not worth any more than $700 because the screen sucks. But the 5060 model performed worse than the 4050 and cost like $400 or $500 more. And then both of them had a CPU problem that you had to go and set in Task Manager. Some applications just were running really, really slow. They wouldn't go above a certain gigahertz. You'd have to go in Task Manager and change the scheduling to, I believe, like high or something to get it to run properly. Gigabyte, just tons of bugs.
Wow.
So that was really bad. I mean, we've had a lot of ones that just have issues.
There's probably a reason why certain manufacturers have constantly the best laptops, right? But Gigabyte, Acer, not the most popular brands for laptops out there. Have you seen a Gigabyte laptop or an Acer laptop that actually excels?
Okay, so this is a really good one. I would actually, just straight off the bat, I'd actually put Acer more in the mid-tier because they do have some good products, particularly in the gaming space. Those gaming ones I just mentioned wasn't good, but their standard Predator is actually a pretty good gaming laptop. But back on your question, let's take Gigabyte. I did just mention the Aero X16 as one we did like, but that's only for one specific reason. It's price for what you get.
Yep.
These ones, their quality is just so subpar compared to like, and I'm assuming you mean Lenovo. Lenovo and Apple just right now just are dominating. I'd say Asus is like half a notch behind. They're very close, but Lenovo and Asus, Apple so far ahead of everyone else. And I think when you come to like the MSIs, which had a lot of hinge problems, like we found like in one of these, the MSI thin, the hinge was screwed into the plastic. And obviously if you're screwing metal into plastic, it's probably not going to last that long. These ones, the only reason to buy them is you're getting a great collection of parts for a really, really low price. But other than that, if a Lenovo gets anywhere near that amount, the price that they're charging for, similar components, you just buy Lenovo. It's just not even a question. One thing I think it's really good that's happening, and you might know more about this, is the move from SODIMM to the new type of replaceable RAM that is both, because right now a lot of RAM is soldered, not just to make the laptop, less repairable or look better, but because it's faster. But I believe the new RAM, you might know more about this, I believe the new RAM is not only smaller, replaceable, and
ECAMM? Are
faster.
you talking about ECAMM?
Yeah.
It's called CAMM2 Memory.
Yeah, that's it.
It's compression access memory module. And don't ask me how I remembered that. I think I'm right on that. I don't mean to, but I actually met the developer of that, the engineer who made that, the original CAMM2, the CAMM memory, not the CAMM2. What it is it's less distance for the memory to travel in this new standards. With SODIMM slots, which have been around for 25, 30 years, it actually is not the most efficient way to get the memory to wherever it needs to go. I know I'm not sounding scientific, but CAMM2, what it does is compression memory. It just slips right onto the board, and it's just much more closer, and it's just faster, it's just better, more reliable. It is replaceable. In fact, the one I just did, the Dell Pro 14, the Dell Pro 8, the Dell Pro Max 18 Plus has an option for CAMM2 memory, and that's 128 gigabytes. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But CAMM2 is very expensive, right?
Very expensive.
Super expensive.
Yeah. You could actually go with SODIMM slots, or what they're called. I don't know if they're standard SODIMM. They're called, what's the other? They're SODIMM slots in a sense. You don't have to go with the CAMM2, but that's very expensive. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's coming sometime in the future. That's our future outlook on the technology of memory.
I think doubling back the one you were asking, Alex, about like the bad brands, the ones that do badly. I think the biggest issue, there's many issues in the laptop space right now, including product naming, but I think one of the biggest issues is just quality control. We are seeing so many issues right now in laptops, like some of a lot of laptops, if you charge them via USB-C charging, they're getting really hot around that spot. They don't have that with the barrel pin charger. Microsoft Surface laptop with Qualcomm, it does that really badly. Okay. I believe the Yoga Pro 9i, I think that does it as well. We're seeing a lot of like performance degradation from some of these the applications that manufacturers have created to control performance on their laptops are actually impacting performance on the laptops. Razer Blade has had notorious with their Synapse software. Just so many issues. The Predator Helios Neo 16S can't go down to 60 hertz on its display, so its battery life sucks. It's stuck at whatever the fast refresh rate is. We're just seeing, I'd say, a lot of like what I just described with the Gigabyte before, where the 5060, you're getting performance worse than a 4050 for no known reason. I think a lot of manufacturers, unfortunately, they're just tripping up on things like this that they shouldn't be tripping up on. And I think it's hurting, what the success of their device. And I think that's something that I really think manufacturers need to stop producing so many laptops. I mean, we've already talked about the quality manufacturers. I mean, Apple's one of them. They've got 4 laptops, right? They can focus their energies to make sure they're good.
Yeah.
They control the hardware, the software, and everything in between. So it's
just
everybody's
so
in a
less
rush
models.
to get their laptops out by next season. You know?
Yeah. And I think that's also the problem too. We are doing, and I actually liked what's happened this year, that we haven't seen changes in CPUs for consumer laptops this year. It's pretty much the same CPUs we had last year, Lunar Lake, Qualcomm, that kind of thing. I think that there is this desire that these companies are reporting annual results to the stock market, and they've got to constantly release new products every year. And I think that's counterintuitive to how tech product cycles are bigger than that. They should take 2 years to develop a product, not 1. Because you've got to think about when you're developing a product, there's certain phases you go through, and it's less efficient to do it twice in a 2-year period than just do it once. Yeah. You could just get more done. And I think it's,
shareholder pressure.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that they've got to have new models that sell well, yada, yada, yada. But I think if they just stopped doing that and produced better quality models, they would sell more and they'd shine more, because it's not hard for a manufacturer to beat a lot of laptops out there. Like, a lot of them are tripping up on these small things. Give me one good thing and bad thing that you guys have each seen when you've come to see The Office. Let's start with the positive.
Are we going to do a Gerald Dunn style thing where we do a tour?
We should get the clipboard.
Okay.
Change the background to purple.
You'll get a purple star.
I'm going to give you a 9 out of 10 for lighting. Lighting is really nice here.
Good. Even if we have to... Okay, what's the bad thing? I think I know where you're going with this, by the way.
So the bad thing is the setup time. Everything has to be turned on manually. All the cameras, all the microphones, everything has to be repositioned, all the lighting. I think you can streamline that a little bit.
I agree, especially the lighting. I think the mics, obviously, we don't normally have you guys here, but I think you're not wrong on the lighting. I think there's stuff for us to learn for sure about that.
All right, where's my clipboard? I don't have one.
You could check off that, yeah.
What about you, Andrew? What do you reckon?
So, positives here, the good things I see in your studio. First of all, very impressive. So congratulations to you and your team for putting together such an amazing studio. Lighting is amazing. Sound is great. The soundproofing is really good, especially if you have air conditioning going. Also, you do a great job there. So kudos to you for putting this amazing studio together. Negatives, well, now the negative is more for me, because now I have to feel like I got to redo my whole studio now. I mean, after seeing this setup, I'm like, oh man, now I got to go back to the drawing board. Yeah. So congratulations to you and your team.
Yeah, nice work, team.
Well, guys. We were meant to be filming for 10 minutes. I don't know how long this has been.
I don't know.
And I hope the audio is good, because got the mics in. Andrew's audio is going to be really loud. You and I are going to be soft.
I'm loud to begin with, so it doesn't matter.
But it was really good.
In the back.
You'll have to lower the levels.
Yeah. It was really good to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're glad we were able to stop by, and we will have some surprises for you very soon. So.
Yeah. And look, guys, thanks for watching. I think we're going to try and do a lot more videos like this. As I said, we've got a lot of ones coming out on the business channel, so check that out. I'll put a link to that below. Also, any of the laptops that we talked about today that we liked, you'll find links to those below as well if you do want to buy them. And that's it from us. Go subscribe to the guys' channels. I'll put links to those below too. Until next time, we'll catch you later.
So make sure you like and subscribe,
because it'll make Josh's mother very proud.